I would say don't just start filming me without asking me
Oh my goodness.
if you could film me.
Astaire, come help us again, please. I'm still dealing with food.
You can almost taste the tension hanging thick in the air as Will Smith takes that agonizingly slow walk from the wooden bench over to the witness stand. His eyes stay locked on the judge, but if you look closely, there's a slight tremor in his hand as he's sworn in. The deliberate breath he draws before his iconic voice breaks the silence in the courtroom. No cameras inside, but every reporter packed into the overflow room swears its truth. The former Fresh Prince looks nothing like the confident superstar who once rapped about summers and family vibes. Today, under those harsh, unforgiving fluorescent lights, he wears the heavy, grim expression of a man who's tallied up the price of
certainly be helpful, in addition to the text message evidence that we had. Sometimes victims don't want to come forward, right? You're talking about a rich and famous individual, and look at what's happened. Perry's lawyer came out and said, this guy's lying. This is a shakedown. This is extortion, right? They always go after the victim. And we don't know if the allegations are true in this case or not, but very few harassment cases are reported or litigated.
Loyalty and found it painfully, astronomically high. We lean in as the clerk wraps up the formalities. In the gallery, Tyler Perry sits stone-faced beside his legal team, a billionaire mogul whose empire of wholesome branding now feels like a fragile paper-match fortress in the pouring rain. The irony is straight out of a movie. Years ago, Will and Tyler stood side by side at charity galas, men of faith, pillars of uplift. Now they're divided by counsel tables, subpoenas, and accusations sharp enough to shred reputations into confetti. There's something almost Shakespearean about watching these two titans, once brothers, in box office gold, locked in a showdown that could send shockwaves through every studio boardroom from LA to Atlanta and beyond. Whispers say Will's affidavit reads like a Hollywood thriller. He alleges Tyler turned their friendship into a recruitment pipeline, nudging him to scout fresh faces, hopefuls, willing to do anything just to get a foot in the door. According to Will's camp, he didn't grasp the full scope until later, when stories from those newcomers started sounding disturbingly familiar. Promised screen tests, turning into late-night mentoring sessions, scripts traded for massages that weren't in any script. That's when Will allegedly realized he'd unknowingly become a talent scout for something far darker than a sitcom. And once that penny dropped, his only choice was to testify or risk being buried under the avalanche of allegations, swallowing Tyler whole. As for the timeline of Derek Dixon's claims, the defense is already firing the usual shots. If you were assaulted or harassed, why didn't you report it sooner? What every plaintiff's lawyer loves is a contemporaneous report, and from what we hear, Dixon has been in therapy since 2020, suggesting some record of early action. But Tyler's name alone isn't enough to fuel this scandal. Enter Sean Diddy, combs the third corner of a triangle no PR team can spin away. We've all seen the headlines. A federal indictment laced with terms prosecutors usually reserve for international crime rings, intimate trafficking, forced labor, interstate transport of paid companions. Language that sends studio execs scrambling for crisis playbooks. Now, Will hints Tyler was tied to Diddy's notorious party circuit, plugging promising talent into a calendar flowing straight from a Tyler soundstage in Atlanta to a gated Miami mansion, where white linens and bottles of water were just the backdrop for after-hours experiences nobody dared write down. If prosecutors stitched this all together, they're revealing a dark tapestry of power, money, and human collateral. There's one more piece, missing: a mysterious witness, still off the radar. An ex-girlfriend of Diddy's, reportedly one of the alleged victims, has vanished. The prosecution can't find her. Before we digest all this, rewind to the viral photos flooding our feeds. Will, in a crisp linen shirt, laughing beside Diddy as a buffet rests on a human table draped in fruit. Nothing else? At first glance, just another celeb throwback lost in the endless scroll of Instagram nostalgia. But look closer, and you catch the tension in Will's smile, like someone caught mid-joke. No longer part of the punchline. Reports say those Miami soirees were no casual hangouts. They were meticulously staged freakouts, packed with A-listers, influencers, and enough party favors to fuel a week-long music festival. Attendees signed NDAs as thick as studio contracts. Phones were bagged at the door, and anyone asking many questions mysteriously lost their invite for the next season. Will's official line: networking, maintaining relationships, protecting box office returns. But insiders claim he played a quieter, darker role, smoothing introductions between Tyler's rising talent and Diddy's infamous guest lists. One source swears Will kept a notebook dubbed The List in whispered corners of the Sunset Tower, where he jotted down names of performers who seemed eager and malleable. That notebook, we hear, now sits sealed in an evidence bag, its pages flagged with colored tabs by investigators who believe it maps a conveyor belt of vulnerable hopefuls. If rumors hold, Will isn't sharing those pages out of pure goodwill. he's sliding them across the table, hoping to shield himself from the legal meteor shower raining down on everyone who ever dipped into Diddy's 1,000-bottle stash of baby oil. The judge weighed in, noting that with every sidebar about sensitive topics for prospective jurors, the trial risks bogging down. But both defense and prosecution seem confident they can keep a brisk pace. High-profile cases like this often require extra care. And then there's the strategic timing. Federal agents, raiding storage units, seizing hard drives. Will might know the safest place in this storm is the witness stand. He's seen Cassie's settlement ripple across social media, heard ex-bodyguards recount secret deliveries to hotel suites, and read about the one missing witness who disappeared. Just as prosecutors finalize charges, he understands the narrative is shifting daily, and whoever speaks first often controls the story by handing prosecutors a roadmap. Names and all. Quiet payoffs and hidden dates. Will Smith is shaping himself as the reluctant whistleblower, not the silent enabler. It's a bold move straight out of a legal thriller. Sacrifice old alliances to save your future, even if it means becoming radioactive in the eyes of former friends. Word is, the defense team is expanding. What we thought was just one new attorney has grown to two. When Mark Adnolo spoke about this, he mentioned both lawyers are currently present in court. I didn't see Mark Gragos, but two defense attorneys definitely showed up when Brian Steele joined the case. Nicole Westmoreland. Among them, every time the bailiff calls for order, you can feel the emotional stakes in the room. Here's a man whose career was built on lovable charm, now caught between hero and opportunist. Fans want to believe their childhood idol has seen the light and chosen justice. Skeptics insist he's only speaking because the house of cards has finally collapsed. The truth, probably a messy blend of both. Either way, Will has shattered Hollywood's unspoken rule. Never pull back the velvet curtain. And by doing so, he's unlocked a vault of whispers, stretching far beyond one Atlanta soundstage or a Hampton mansion. Behind the scenes, agents are scrambling to triage their client's exposure. Which selfies from 2014 need a scrub? Which cameo footage from Diddy's yacht quietly erased? Streaming platforms are re-evaluating Tyler Perry's multi-picture deals. Marketing teams panic-proof upcoming releases featuring Will's voice cameos. We hear the FBI is meticulously cross-referencing flight manifests, hotel ledgers, even spa receipts, trying to map who flew where and when. Subpoenas hitting assistant directors aren't paranoia, nor are the hush-hush calls, starting with, quick question. Remember that infamous buffet arranged on a human platter? Not just a wild rumor anymore. Regarding the recent plea offer, the government reportedly made Will one, but he rejected it. He told the court he consulted with his attorneys and seems willing to roll the dice by going all in. And now, we come to the juiciest piece of hearsay, the so-called secret pact. Multiple insiders swear that years ago, Will, Tyler, and Diddy made a gentleman's agreement, a vow of mutual protection, forged in hushed conversations aboard a private jet somewhere between Kingston and Nassau. The deal: if any one of them faced public allegations, the others would rally PR muscle, money, and hush deals to neutralize the threat. In Hollywood, where image is currency, that was the ultimate insurance policy. But now, with Diddy behind bars instead of hosting lavish parties and Tyler tangled in a $260 million lawsuit, that pact looks less like a shield and more like Exhibit A. By stepping into the witness chair, Will isn't just breaking the pact, he's detonating it, scattering its remnants across every entertainment desk from Beverly Hills to Atlanta. Tony Rock summed it up best. Tony Rock was my man. This is probably irreparable. Is Will brave or calculating? Noble or cornered? We don't know. But when he finally speaks, every word will echo through red carpet culture like feedback from a blown-out speaker. And somewhere, in a Brooklyn holding cell or pacing a studio lot in Atlanta, two former friends are waiting, listening, bracing for which secrets drop first and how much their empires will crumble when the testimony ends. The defense's playbook: deny everything, claim he's innocent, say these are just angry ex-girlfriends or opportunists, spinning stories. Classic strategy. But meanwhile, slip away from courtroom drama to the glossy TP Studios soundstages, where the floor wax still gleams and executive golf carts whisper past fake white house facades, the very image of family-friendly hustle. Yet, just beyond camera range, in unmarked trailers, the real story brews. According to Derek Dixon's lawsuit, those trailers are where scripts shift into survival manuals, where an actor, thinking he'd landed a dream role, suddenly finds the exit locked, the lights dimmed. Dixon alleges friendly run-throughs turned into mandatory midnight rehearsals, text messages morphed into unrelenting flattery, the promise of a paycheck hanging on his ability to laugh off unwanted touches and invasive questions. Picture that. Suffocating silence, an actor alone with a billionaire who controls every scene, every paycheck, deciding which character mysteriously disappears next season. Dixon's complaint details how admiration can quickly morph into a gilded cage. First, friendly pep talks. You've got the look. You've got the hustle. Then late-night FaceTime calls, filled with compliments that were really checkpoints. Screenshots show what looks like relationship therapy disguised as coaching building. Gratitude until the power imbalance is baked in. And when gratitude ran out, the tone shifted. One message allegedly asked what it would take for Dixon to be guilt-free about certain favors. His character's future dangled like a chandelier hanging from a frayed cable. When Dixon hesitated, the suit claims Tyler reminded him that Dale's role that finally got him recognized could vanish in a single car crash before the next table read. That's when Dixon realized he wasn't auditioning for a part, he was auditioning for permission to keep his dignity. As soon as the lawsuit went public, fans were shocked and confused by Riverbur's refusal of Tyler Perry's role, sparking rumors of tension between the two. We can almost hear the air hiss out of Hollywood's carefully crafted image balloon. Here's a mogul whose brand was built on redemption storylines and church pew finales. Yet now, allegations say he used scripture quotes to blur boundaries and silence complaints through his lawyers. Tyler fired back, calling the suit a scam, insisting he won't be shaken down. Confident these fabricated harassment claims will fail. Notice the language, shaken down, fabricated. It's the exact phrasing publicists use to paint accusers as opportunists, not as voices echoing years of whispered fear behind the scenes. The problem, Dixon's story fits a pattern we've heard before: quiet complaints from PAs who left the lot, vanished emails during contract talks, sudden silences whenever reporters asked why the same set medic always kept a suitcase of first aid supplies. Far from the stunt rig. Zoom out and you see how these tactics scale. One actor steered by Keraton stick threats to his fictional character. Now imagine a dozen hopefuls flown in from casting calls across cities, sequestered in company housing. Imagine whispered promises of producer credits on pilots that never air, used as unspoken ransom to keep victims silent. Some accusers say they were offered consulting deals that seemed generous until the fine print dropped their pay to near zero if they ever spoke out. We've heard about confidentiality clauses baked into release forms, about non-union gigs dangled like life rafts to freelancers drowning in ... the rents paid. But looming over it all is a chilling fact. The man in the director's chair can rewrite his own reality faster than any blogger can drop a leak. Yeah, it definitely felt personal. And here's a key detail. Alfonso has worked with Tyler Perry, directing a dozen episodes of Meet the Browns. So, this isn't just random tension, they know each other. But when a tweet drops, loaded with two words, the weight hits differently. Deliberate. Now we pivot to the real gladiatorial arena. One billionaire architect of wholesome melodramas, squaring off against the self-proclaimed king of raucous nightlife. Just a year ago, TP and Diddy battled to outbid each other at bet, valuations soaring into the billions, flashing smiles that screamed black excellence. Today, their lawyers sharpen exhibits like hostage negotiations. Rumor has it, Diddy's camp quietly blames TP for feeding federal investigators breadcrumb trails about hush money paid across the enterprise. Meanwhile, TP's camp whispers back that Diddy's seized hard drives contain guest lists, pointing to Atlanta guest cottages bankrolled by TP Productions. Two moguls, two reputations, one fuse already lit. Each suspects the other of leaking. Each plans to prove the other masterminded an intimacy trafficking ring bigger than the scandal that toppled Hollywood a decade ago. We stand smack in the blast radius of clashing egos. Diddy's sprawling nightlife empire clubs, liquor brands, fashion capsules once gave him cover in chaos. An entourage could soak up blame. TP, by contrast, commands a studio campus so vast it demands its own highway exit. That once fortified castle now looks besieged, with independent documentarians circling like siege engines. The three-part Maxine's monster exposed teases drone shots of former cast members pointing to secret doors and panic rooms. Federal agents quietly request raw footage. Diddy's White Party archives. Once pure social media gold, now digital evidence lockers stamped with chain of custody tags. Somewhere in a server farm, forensic teams map GPS, pings a jet departing Mia, a badge swipe in ATL, Will Smith's production company phone pinging both within 48 hours. Fans seem surprised by Will and Roberto Rivera's past collaboration, directed 12 episodes of Meet the Browns, including one where an actor claimed he was forced to take a role or risk losing his job. Will was supposed to be the safe pair of hands, the reassuring grin in interviews. The celeb, both soccer moms and sneakerheads trusted. But the deeper you dig, the clearer it becomes. His real value was human veneer. Will brokered meetings without suspicion, lunches in Burbank disguised as brainstorming sessions for family comedies, yacht weekends framed as philanthropy summits. When guestless chatter grew ominous, when new faces disappeared from credits after one season, Will's photos functioned like a security blanket, persuading talent all was above board. Now, rumor has it, he's flipped. Brand consultants allegedly warned him a plea deal or silence could erase 30 years of awards, endorsements, and inspirational memes in a week. Today, in a New York federal courtroom, Sean Diddy Combs told the judge he was a little nervous. The rat mogul's criminal trial began. Trafficking, racketeering, and more. The so-called secret pact sketched on cocktail napkins after a private Bahamas dinner was supposed to guarantee silence. The three men agreed to fund a joint legal war chest to buy evidence, bankroll relocation for disgruntled partners. But a pact is only as strong as its weakest link. When Diddy realized tapes could place him in harsh jurisdictions with ruthless racketeering laws, sources say he pushed for emergency payouts to former party planners. TP allegedly balked, calling it fiscally reckless. Will, watching two billionaires fight over millions while investigators hunted missing witnesses, reportedly concluded loyalty was liability. And just like that, a brotherhood forged in fast money and favors splintered into three rival fortresses braced for mutually assured destruction. Two women who say they were abused decades ago are stepping forward, hoping for a fair trial. One was arrested at 16 for shoplifting at Harry Potter's world. The judge asked what she stole. She said, "The fallout is rippling faster than a Sunday box office report." Streaming execs courting TP for 5-picture deals are freezing talks, citing brand reassessment. Sponsors who shelled out 8-figure sums for Diddy's televised events quietly scrub ad copy from archives, at least to major fashion. Magazines yanked unpublished cover shoots, fearing the scandal's glare would burn their print runs. Writer rooms from Culver City to Vancouver are rewriting entire seasons, excising winking references to the trio just in case next week's headlines turn last month's cameo into toxic baggage, and the avalanche hasn't peaked. The documentary team behind Maxine's Monster reportedly holds 5 more on confessions under lock and key. Once the first episode airs, NDAs dissolve. One insider says producers have a handwritten schedule detailing days intimate auditions allegedly happened on TP's lot with license plate numbers provided by security logs. Another claims a private investigator dossier lists every ALST attending at least 3 of Diddy's infamous white line and brunches where white napkins weren't the only things folded carefully. If half this info goes public, depositions will pop up like weeds after a spring rain. It's no surprise that jurors are screened rigorously. Anyone with preformed opinions is excluded. The defense only wants ears open to the judge's words, nothing else. Behind closed doors, investigators stitch accusations into a narrative justifying RICO charges the entertainment world has never seen. A task force half street crime vets have cyber specialists cross-references, flight logs, residuals, credit card swipes, and spa invoices. They flag every background actor inexplicably promoted after a Miami weekend temperatura exilar return subpoenas loom. Shell companies funding wellness retreats may soon be labeled conspiracy facilitators. If prosecutors prove a network of organized abuse, prison isn't the only risk. Complete asset forfeiture could be on the menu. As the circle tightens, Will's team holds nightly calls across time zones. One consultant likens Will's state of mind to rock climbing in a hailstorm when bad grip from a fall. He's deciding whether to dump the last pages of his legendary notebook before someone else leaks out of context excerpts. He's watching social media tally every old photo like a court exhibit. He's calculating if public sympathy still exists for a star who once slapped a comedian live but later wept on stage about healing. Meanwhile, TP and Diddy reportedly draft counter-affidavits painting Will as the architect of the recruitment network they merely tolerated to keep projects afloat. It's a legal chessboard, every piece coded in C4. And yes, the prosecutors on Diddy's trial, all women, a deliberate choice. Inside his Calabasas compound, restlessness reportedly begins before dawn. He replays old red carpet footage, measuring every handshake, wondering which smile hides a grudge, which selfie might now be evidence. What you want, as a U.S. attorney, is the best legal firepower money can buy. Appearances matter, sure, but at the end of the day, you want to win. And for the defense, it's harder than ever. We're told he keeps separate journals now. One is a cold ledger of legal strategy and bullet points. The other, a cryptic record of dreams that jolt him awake, half-legible scrolls describing endless corridors, blinding phone flashes, the hush falling over a roaring crowd when court sketches appear on giant screens. Friends say he tears out each page at dawn, feeding the ashes to a small fire pit, convinced ink itself might leak secrets. His paranoia manifests physically. Security teams rotate hourly. Code words change daily. Every package is X-rayed twice. Even casual coffee meetings are stress-tested. Assistants must certify, no guest arrives with hidden mics. Tech experts swept his home studio and, allegedly, found nothing. Yet he still speaks in coded whispers, convinced an old smart speaker could betray him. The family fallout is just as intense. Sources whisper that family dinners feel scripted, relative assigned talking points, carefully avoiding legal landmines. We picture the awkward silence when a streaming trailer for one of TP's sitcoms suddenly plays and someone lunges for the remote before the laugh track even starts. The walls are lined with awards, but conversations tread on eggshells. Meanwhile, his team tries to spin a narrative that the government is leaking damaging info, like the infamous Cassie video. But insiders say he has many enemies. We've learned a trauma bond specialist has been flown in under an NDA Sessions probe. One theme: complicity fatigue. Each time he recalls a harmless memory, the counselor asks what warning signs he missed and why. Progress charts hang on a hidden corkboard. Green pins mark moments of clarity. Red pins mark flashbacks that trigger tremors. The duality is striking. The public warrior preparing to testify versus the private man obsessively studying body language tutorials to spot contempt. In the courtroom gallery, he allegedly practices neutral expressions in mirrors, rehearsing how to endure cross-examination without seeming rehearsed. One coach calls him an actor trapped in an endless dress rehearsal, with no rap party to break the tension. He now reportedly avoids mirrors during certain hours, unable to face reflections from past premieres. Framed movie posters, once trophies of triumph, now cling like stage makeup that won't wash off. Friends say he considered donating every trophy to charity, but advisors warned it would look performative, so the awards stay boxed in a guest room silent. Witnesses louder than any applause. In Cassie's civil lawsuit, she accuses Diddy of abuse and assault. His digital footprint tells a story of damage control. Late-night edits scrub playful captions from party photos, replaced by vague motivational lines. Entire albums vanishes if deleting pixels could erase context. One insider says he keeps multiple draft statements on his laptop, versions apologizing, versions pleading ignorance, versions vanishing from public life entirely. None feel right, so they linger in a folder ominously marked, maybe. The true cost of shifting from ally to accuser. Every door creaks with uncertainty. He walks into court, clutching a binder of truth, but walks out unsure of vindication or vilification awaits beyond the metal detector. The guilt of past silence and dread of future headlines weigh heavy on his shoulders. Only time will reveal which burden is heavier. We can almost feel the ground quiver. Beneath Hollywood Boulevard, a mix of fear and anticipation. Agents coach clients on answering subpoenas without shredding reputations. Crisis managers hoard talking points. Gossip blogs have pre-written headlines locked and loaded like rockets on a launch pad. Every detail matters. A sudden, unscheduled jet flight. A resurfaced video from a 2005 afterparty. An email chain referencing bulk baby oil orders. This narrative is so combustible that even seasoned scandal watchers whisper this could redefine celebrity oversight forever.